Hey everybody, this is Phone Fanatic. I just wanted to show you a video of this ground station case that I built for a customer. This is a Harbor Freight case that y'all know and love. Everybody uses them. Well, it's just my my take on it. Show you what I can do. Right here we've got a 19-inch TV mounted with MDF surround. Then I've got the power buttons and all your TV controls right here. Then the bottom, we've got a nice large control surface here. Underneath here we've got a inverter to power the TV. All your switches for everything. I'll get into that in a little bit. We got a power meter here for the battery life. We've got 4 receivers, 2 1.3 gigahertz and 2 5.8 gigahertz. Diversity system, EagleEyes Diversity System. I utilize this because it's got all of the outputs that I needed to go to the DVR, to go to the screen, to go to another output for the side of the case, and all that. Got this DVR here, got it mounted with a custom machine bracketry that I made, and then we still have a little bit of storage space up front here. One of these it's all pick and pull foam, and one of these spots is going to be for the batteries, and the other spot is for whatever you want to put in there, really. But let's go ahead and get into everything here. So down here on the bottom, I got to put a little bit of shameless self-promotion there, Foam Fanatic production. But this customer flies a TBS Disco, and I got permission from Team Black Sheep to put their logo on this. So that was pretty cool of them. Thank you guys for that. And he wanted a little, ground station symbol pointing at the TBS Disco, so that's pretty neat. Okay, get into the switches here. Basically, up at the top here, you've got 1.3 gigahertz, the RX1, 1.3 gigahertz RX2. Same thing with 5.8 RX1 and 2. And here you got a diversity and DVR switch that turns on those. And then this is just a spare switch in case he wants to add something in the future. And these two switches, I did have a bar joining them, but it threw me for a loop, and it wasn't actually making the contacts in there because the toggle switches are actually tapered, and it wasn't the right geometry on the bar that I made, so I took the bar off. But basically what these do is, instead of pulling the RCAs off of each of your receivers to switch from 5.8 to 1.3, all you do is flip those over. Now we're running 5.8, so these RCAs are going to the RX1, or the input 1 and input 2. And if you flip them both back this way, now the RCAs from here are going to input 1 and input 2. So that works out rather well. Up here we got power 1 and power 2. It's for the 2 inputs, labeled power 1 and power 2. That's so you can run 2 batteries. Only one battery will be functioning at any given time. This LED meter here, it starts out at like 12.4 is the highest green. I think it goes down to about 10.5 or so on the lowest red. And there's also a built-in low voltage buzzer on the diversity system here. Then also the inverter down underneath there. You see that little red thing underneath there? It takes up this entire space. But the inverter also has a low voltage alarm at about 10.5 volts. So if you hear either one of those alarms, which this one is settable to whatever voltage you want to set it at, but if you hear either one of those alarms and your lights are all the way out, you simply flip that over and seamlessly flip to the other battery in mid-flight without a hitch. So it works out rather well. Let's get into some of the custom stuff that I made here. This bracketry here on to hold the receivers. I got the 1.3s mounted on the bottom, And I made custom machine these plates here with these brackets to hold these FlySight 5.8 gigahertz RXs, which are awesome. How they're so small, they worked out rather well. You can still see the display of the 1.3s. Then I made it to where you can see the display of the 5.8s. Then I lined them up offset so where the RCAs here, or the SMAs can simply be unscrewed from one and moved up to the other. Now, that's the only thing that you really need to change, because the RCAs are on these switches here. So now, these RX1 and RX2 come over here to this side panel. Here is, I don't know if you can see it very well, on the underside of here it says RX1 and RX2. Those are your SMA bulkheads on the outside. And you also have audio video out in case you want to run a set of goggles or something like that as well. And then I put in a USB 5 volt for this customer because his goggles, or some cinemizers I do believe, run off a USB to charge his cinemizer goggles. So that works out rather well for him. Now let's get into the diversity here. EagleEyes. I really love this because it's a very cheap DVR diversity system, and it has 4 outputs, for video and audio. You got 3 right there, and then you got 1 down here, and here's your 2 inputs for your diversity. It works rather well, and you can actually set it up to where it either runs AV input 1 only or AV input 2 only, or you can turn it on diversity and it'll switch seamlessly between the two. And it's also got programmable parts in there where you can set the sensitivity of how quickly or how often it switches. So it works out rather well. And you got the line leveling, potentiometers there, and then you got some select buttons here. And then if you run all of the Eagle Tree stuff, you got antenna tracking and all that, which me personally I don't run that because it's a little bit too expensive for my taste. But regardless, now the DVR. This is the part that took me the most time because I wanted to be able to get to everything, but I still wanted it to be secured in there. So I came up with these 2 brackets on either side here that actually hold it in place rather well. It's not going anywhere by any means, and you can still see everything. I mean, you got the on-off switches there, the record switch. You got, this is your audio video input. Here's 5 volt input right there, and then this is audio video output that I actually have connected to this detonator button here. This is the one thing that if I would have known, I would have changed. I would have actually taken this detonator button and put it over in the panel somewhere, but I didn't know that it came with this whenever I started ordering and designing the panel. So what this is basically, even though it is powered off, which I don't have any batteries right now, but if I did, if I would push this button, it would power on and start recording automatically, which is a very awesome feature. And then whenever you're done recording, you want to stop the recording, you simply push it again, and it stops recording, saves it, and powers off. So that's pretty cool right there. So I'm just tucking this away right here. That way, whenever they're flying, you can actually pull this out and put it right next to you or whatever. So it's kind of good that I didn't put it in the panel anywhere because now it's easily accessible wherever. But over here we also have little notches that are made for the power light and the record light, so that's pretty neat. Down here on the bottom you got all the buttons that you can use, which are also right here on this little remote. Now the receiver for the remote is actually over here. I've got a little notch cut out for it. So I haven't really tested it yet, but you might have to put a piece of aluminum foil or something like aluminum foil tape, like duct tape or something. Not duct tape, but aluminum duct tape. It's the shiny stuff. It's actually like aluminum foil. That way it kind of reflects the signal into there. I haven't really tested it yet, so we'll see if I need to put that in there or not. And then also, you can still get to the SD card. The SD card comes out right there. So everything is accessible while it's still inside the case. And actually right now I do not have the battery in it. I'm just running it off the 5 volts here, off of this switch right here. This is the Diversity DVR switch, and it turns on. It has a little switching BEC. Yes, it is. I bought switching BECs to power the 5 volt DVR and the USB as well. So I've got 2 separate BECs in there. I believe that is everything there. So let's go ahead and set this thing up, and I'll show you what how well it works and everything. Alright, so right now I've got a 3-cell 3000 milliamp battery hooked up to power 1, and I've got the switch over on power 2, so nothing has power on it. So now if I take this switch and switch over to power 1, there we got the battery meter. As you can see, this thing's probably a little bit less than full voltage. So now I'd say that's probably about what, 11 volts, somewhere around that range with those 3 lights. So now over here I've got my tricopter set up with my GoPro, looking at a caricature of me and Mrs. Foam Fanatic, and I've got my 1.3 gigahertz transmitter right there. So we're going to run 1.3. Got my 1.3 gigahertz antennas over here for RX1 and RX2 on the 1.3s. So we're going to turn on 1.31, it's right there, and then 1.32, which is right there, and then we're going to turn on the Diversity and DVR, which is right there. So that just turned on. And now we're going to turn on the TV. So we hit the power button. That comes on, and voila, there is my caricature of us. So there's everything working. Now let's see, one question that a lot of people had about this screen is how badly it goes to blue screen or black screen or whatever, and I tell them it takes a lot of static. I spent a little bit of time and a little bit of my own money trying to find a TV that, you know, doesn't really go to black screen that easily, and I'll prove that to you right here. I'm going to take this DVR, or this Diversity, I'm sorry, and I'm going to switch to AV1, so it's only looking at this receiver right now, and I'm actually going to change the channel on the receiver. And you can see there, it is showing a lot of static and not going to black screen. So that's one advantage right there of this screen. Even though it is a television screen, it takes a lot of static. I mean, you have to go out quite a few. I mean, that's 2 channels out. There's 3 channels out. 4 channels out. So there, I'm 4 channels out before it actually went to black screen. Now I'm going to start going back the other way. Yeah, there's 4 channels out, and I'm getting static, and it came back. So there we go. I mean, the screen takes quite a bit of static before it will actually drop out and go to black screen. And as you can see, let's take it out to full black screen. There's that. I'm going to push the button to switch over to AV2, and you can see as soon as it switches right now, it comes back. I mean, the screen takes no time at all to come back to the video. So it's a rather good screen to use for FPV, in my opinion. So that's my opinion. Take it for what you're worth. Okay, so we're going to switch back here to AV1, and we're going to go back to channel 9, and there we go. So there's how that works right there. You got, get one RX1, RX2, and your Diversity turned on. So you got RX1, RX2, 1.3 gigahertz, of course, and then your Diversity here. Now also, let's go ahead and show off the DVR. As you can see right there, since I put that slot in the side, you can actually see the DVR power light is on. So I'm going to take this detonator switch and push it, and you'll see the record light comes on. There's HobbyWireless pops on, and it's recording. There's a record light right up there in the corner. so it just automatically starts recording, even though it wasn't powered on or not anything. It had power because I had the diversity and DVR turned on. 5-volt input was on, so it had power, but it wasn't powered on. As soon as you push the detonator, it turns on and starts recording. Now I push the detonator again, stops recording, says goodbye, and powers off. So I like that detonator switch. That is a very good feature of this DVR. So good job on that one. What else we got here? I went through that and that. Well, I guess let's go ahead and switch over to 5.8 gigahertz and see if that works. How about that? Ready? Alright, that's probably some of the cheapest editing you will ever see, but I don't really care. Anyways, what I basically did is I took the SMA connector here from the 1.3, put it on the 5.8 on both sides up here, and I put on 5.8 gigahertz antennas onto the SMA connectors on the outside. So now what do we got? Screen is powered on still. Everything else is powered off. So we're going to turn on the diversity and DVR. So we get the DVR light and get the diversity lights, so that's all on. And then we're going to turn on 5.8 as well. So we'll turn those on. Oh wait, no image. That's right. We've got to switch over the RCA switches, which are these two right here, to go from 1.3 to 5.8. So as soon as I flip these over, there we go. Now we're running 5.8 gigahertz. Basically what those switches do is route these RCAs from the switch over to here. So on one side of the switch we go from 5.8 to here, the other side of the switch we go from 1.3 to here. So as you can see, we're running 5.8. Diversity is running. It's on AV1 right now. Let me actually turn that off and we'll go to AV2. AV2 is a little bit brighter. I still need to do the video leveling as these two little potentiometers right here. I still have to do those to adjust that, but you can actually adjust it to where they are the same level. So same to do with the audio as well. If you notice that one audio is louder than the other, you can adjust the audio as well with those two little potentiometers. So what else we got here? Oh my, battery voltage is going down quite a bit. We're in 3 red bars. So here's one thing that I really like about this case that I built. Gotta throw that in there. I've got 2 batteries hooked up to here. I've got a 2200 3-cell and I got a 3000 3-cell. So the 3000 is hooked up to power 2, which is what we're on right now, and it's dying, almost dead. So we're going to switch over to this fully charged 2.2 and say we're in mid-flight right now because we're, watching something. And we just want to flip over and boom. Seamlessly flip between batteries in mid-flight. So now we've got full voltage to fly for however long we can on our aircraft, whatever aircraft batteries can handle. So that's a pretty cool feature. You can just flip in between them as much as you want, and it does not affect anything. It does not affect the screen, does not affect the receivers, the diversity, the DVR, nothing. Everything stays on. So the voltages that I have set here, and you see I've got one going down already, so we've got probably about 12.3 volts inside that battery on power supply 1. The voltages are set from like 12.6 down to 10.5. These are actually adjustable as well. Underneath of this panel is a jumble of wires because this is a very intricate system. But here's some of the wires sitting right here. I couldn't get them all up underneath of this panel. This bottom portion down here has the inverter, so I've only got this little space to work with, and I couldn't do it. But there's always next time, I guess. So we'll try better on the next one to get everything in there. But I digress. What I was talking about was the voltage is actually changeable. You can adjust it to be whatever voltage you want. You can adjust it to, say if you wanted this one to be 12.2 and this one to be 10, you can do that. There's also a switch on there to, instead of this being a bar graph, all of them lit up, you can actually have it as a dot graph, to where right now only this one would be lit up. Then as the voltage drops, that one would light up, and so on and so forth, instead of all of them being lit up. So that's a neat little feature that I added as well. I do believe that's it for this case. I haven't really came up with a final price on this yet, but it is going to be up there a little bit, with all the custom machine work that I did with these brackets and whatnot, and then definitely these brackets here. Those came out rather well. I like how those turned out. And I didn't show it, but this actually can be removed. These do flex right here. You can see that. Those flex, and you can actually pull this out. So it is actually still removable if need be. Then what else? I got custom plate designed and manufactured for this, and then also the custom plate on the side. So I think all in all, it turned out to be a beautiful case. I hope the end customer really enjoys it as much as I do, because you're guaranteed I'm going to be building one of these for myself. So it was good practice to get this one going, definitely. So if anybody's interested in me building them a case, you can contact me on RC groups. You can follow the link in the bottom in the description. I'll put it in there. My handle on there is Foam Fanatic, same as it is here on YouTube. So if anybody's interested, hit me up on RC groups, and I'll see what I can do for you. So everybody, enjoy, have fun out there.